The morning sun barely crept over the horizon when I spotted her from my porch, striding through my orchard like she owned every blade of grass. Ellen, in her garish yellow windbreaker and wide-brimmed hat, led a gaggle of strangers, waving her arms like a parade marshal. "This trail's gonna be stunning once the HOA clears it," she bellowed, oblivious us to the no trespassing signs tangled in vines. One of her followers snapped a photo of my barn. Another kicked over a wooden stake my grandpa drove into the earth 70 years ago. My dog, Rusty, growled low, ears flat. I sipped my coffee, watching. This wasn't just a nosy neighbor. Ellen was claiming my land every inch from County Road 12 to Willow Creek like she'd snatched it at a flea market. The kicker? I'm not even in her HOA. She marched on, her entourage trailing, some nodding eagerly, others glancing nervously at the signs. I stayed quiet, rocking in my chair. Let her think she's winning. The next dawn, she was back, armed with a tape measure, clipboard, and a smirk that could curdle milk. She yanked open the old gate by the creek, propped it with a rock, and stapled a laminated notice to the post. I didn't need to read it up close. The HOA's red logo screamed enough. When she left, I strolled over. "Notice of Community Beautification Easement," it declared, announcing my land's annexation into their trail system for public nature access. Annexation? Like I was some rogue nation. I tore it down, tossed it in the fire barrel, and watched it burn. That afternoon, a landscaping truck roared up, city plates gleaming. 2 workers unloaded gravel bags by the creek. "Path expansion project." The younger one shrugged when I confronted them. "Some HOA lady hired us." I told them to pack up or meet the sheriff. They didn't argue. That night, I dug into Grandpa's old chest, creaking under dusty maps and rusted tools. There it was, a yellowed, hand-drawn map of our land, every boundary etched in his steady script. From the road to the river, it was ours 80 years untouched. I studied it like a battle plan. This wasn't just dirt, it was respect. Footprints multiplied in the orchard over the next days. Candy wrappers littered the grass. A young apple tree lay snapped. Ellen was turning my land into her personal park, clueless that it wasn't hers, wasn't the HOA's, and never would be. I walked the boundary with Rusty, counting every rusted marker, every faded stone. Photos snapped, deed checked. I drove to the county clerk. Old Mr. Carver, hair white as frost, remembered my dad. He whistled at Ellen's notice. "No authority out here," he said. "Unincorporated land. 2 miles outside their lines." He printed certified records, my legal arsenal complete. Back home, I swapped the old gate for steel, bolting a sign. "Private property. Entry by permission only." Ellen rolled up 30 minutes later in a white SUV, storming toward me like I'd stolen her crown. "HOA rights! Trail systems! Shared access!" she shrieked. I handed her the deed, pointed to the sign, and locked the gate. Her face twisted like she'd swallowed a lemon. Tires screeched as she peeled out, but I knew she'd be back. Women like Ellen don't quit a scheme. The next morning, a bulldozer's roar shattered the quiet. Ellen, in a hard hat, barked orders by the orchard, blueprints flapping like a war flag. A portable toilet mocked me from the corner, gravel sacks piled on my grass. She jogged over, grinning like she was delivering good news. "Gravel trails ahead of schedule. Benches by Friday." I sipped my coffee, silent. Behind her, a worker spray painted my ground, another shoveled my vegetable bed. I handed her a folder, deed, map, records. "This is trespassing," I said, voice eyes. Her smile faltered. "Property lines shift," she stammered. "HOA easement." "No easement," I cut in. "You're outside your jurisdiction. By law." Her face hardened. "You'll regret this," she spat, signaling her crew. The bulldozer retreated, but ruts scarred the creek bank, a water line crushed. I spent hours photographing the damage, torn fence posts, tire tracks through saplings. At the county office, Carver helped file complaints: trespassing, unpermitted construction, agricultural damage. He circled my land on zoning maps, unincorporated, untouchable. I emailed the sheriff, the commissioner, and installed motion sensors and trail cameras. Ellen returned that afternoon, alone, glaring at the new gate. She yelled into her phone about escalating and barriers. Remove them? I called. Her scowl could have cracked stone. You're the community's enemy, she hissed. I smiled. Your HOA's 2 miles away. That night, my cameras caught 2 figures' flashlight spray paint tagging my sign hostile in green and prying at the gate. They failed. I sent the footage to the sheriff. By the creek at dawn, I thought of Grandpa, tapping the ground with his cane. Every inch has a story. This was mine now. 3 days later, country music blasted before sunrise. Tents sprouted in my field, balloon arches wobbled, a banner screamed, HOA River Festival. Ellen stood center stage, arms crossed, as cars crushed my grass, a food truck sank into my soil, and a bounce house defiled my orchard. Kids with water guns trampled a peach sapling. This wasn't a mistake, it was war. Ellen waved like we were pals. Festival's early this year. Your land's perfect scenic, she chirped. Board voted unanimously. Permits pending. On private property? I asked. She didn't blink. Don't ruin a good time. I called the sheriff, cued my footage, trespassing, vandalism, bulldozers. 2 cruisers arrived. Ellen's charm wilted as deputies flashed my deed. You're trespassing, ma'am, one said. Everyone leaves now. Tents fell, cars fled. Ellen's glare burned as she slammed her car door and screeched off. The next day, an envelope arrived, 3 photos, me gate, my camera, me with Rusty. No note. A threat. I hid another camera higher. Footage from the festival's eve showed Ellen and 2 others planting fake survey markers, whispering like thieves. I emailed it to the HOA's legal office, county zoning, and sheriff. This land isn't yours. These actions aren't legal. Days later, the HOA's insurance officer called. Ellen was suspended, under investigation. I didn't cheer. I watched my grass regrow, saplings struggling but alive. The land endured. Then came the news van. Ellen, hair perfect, stepped from an SUV, documents in hand, spinning her tale for a community engagement segment. She painted me as a recluse blocking her noble trail. The broadcast showed my sign, blurred, as she mourned kids lost. Nature access. I sent my binder deeds, footage, Finesto the HOA, a CIVYC group, and a real news outlet. The follow-up report exposed her, sheriff citations, DNR fines, no legal claim. Memes mocked her as queen of other people's land. Her myth collapsed. By the creek, a buzzing led me to a pump stealing water for the HOA clubhouse. I called the Department of Natural Resources, showed my 1943 riparian rights deed. They issued a hefty fine. The county thanked me. Ellen's name became a local joke, but I didn't gloat. I walked the boundary, boots on dirt, echoing Grandpa's truth. Land don't lie. A development company offered a fortune for my land. I burned their letter. I carved a new sign from oak, burned in the words, private land. Generational property. Enter with respect. One day, Ellen stood by the road, binoculars trained on hawks. She didn't cross the gate. I didn't speak. Silence said enough. The orchard bloomed again, the creek ran clear, and the land stayed mine not because I fought, but because I held the line. Some battles don't need words. Just a man, his dog, and the dirt that remembers.